We're going to do, the first presentation is on multi-year financial planning.
All right, good evening, everyone. Is this on?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So this evening kicks off officially the beginning of our budget development season. So this one is really just a budget preview, and Dr. Chan will be doing most of the talking, but I do want to provide a quick introduction for her. So as we do each year, we build a budget that we hope is responsible both to our community and our students, focused on our district values, which include community, opportunity, resiliency, and empowerment, and as we always do, keeping the student at the center. This slide just highlights some of the many things that are currently going on within our district and are scheduled or are anticipated to be supported within next year's school budget. And this could include a wide variety of curricular and instruction, including teacher learning opportunities, leadership opportunities, our continued work around literacy and the science of reading, our continued expansion of IB, including the middle years program in the middle school and the high school, as well as continued support of the diploma program at the high school. Focus on alignment of math instruction, K-12. Co-teaching, a new focus on co-teaching and collaborative partnerships, making sure that our co-taught classrooms are operating as efficiently as possible. Continue to work on a K-12 writing curriculum and scope and sequence. A focus on culture and discipline, and that includes the work with Dr. Holly. Focus on AI and other advanced learning technologies. This is a committee that's been working for several years with Ms. Levine, and will continue. Focus on executive functioning, as anyone who's a parent knows children severely struggle with. Focus on science from K-12. Again, ensuring that we have alignment between our buildings and our students are prepared for the assessments. And New York Aspires initiatives, the state requirements of financial literacy, and the portrait of a graduate, including multiple assessment measures. And as well as our facilities, completing our design plan and awarding our bid for our upcoming project. And as I mentioned, we're awaiting our project approval, and we hopefully plan on breaking ground this summer. So with that being said, I just want to bring up Dr. Chan. There's a tremendous amount of work that Dr. Chan and her department put into the development of the school budget, so you'll be hearing from her several times over the next several months. So at this time, I will introduce her up to give you a quick overview of what this year's budget will look like. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Ed, Putnam Valley community members, and online, and the ones that are here, and I already know your names, Joe, Liz, and Mark. Thank you for being here. I'm going to first thank my team, Matthew, Debbie, and Karen. As you know, there's a lot of people behind me to do the work that we present to the board and to the community. This is the first slide we're going to start with. Is pretty similar to what I introduced last year. It's how to calculate the tax cap. I only put in the numbers that I do know for sure. So we're going to start with the way the calculation works is that we begin with the prior year's approved actual tax levy, which is $42,568,295. To that, we have to multiply the tax base growth factor, which is specific to Putnam Valley. The reason it's specific to Putnam Valley is because it's a growth factor that reflects the quantity change in the taxable property values in the base year. The factor is based on the actual physical changes in the taxable property, such as new construction of homes, stores, and offices. It's not a mere change of the assessed value of the existing unchanged taxable properties. So for this year, that number dropped down to 1.00 from 1.002 last year. Then we come up to a subtotal, then we come up to the 25-26 prior year capital exclusions, which we must subtract from that number. And then we have a subtotal of the prior year adjusted tax levy. To that, we would multiply the allowable levy growth factor, which is the lesser of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, or 2%. At the moment, that is not out yet, but that is what you read about in the newspaper. I'm making the assumption that it will be 2%. And at 2%, the 26-27 tax levy limit before exclusions will be 41,180,101. We have to make adjustments to that, which we're waiting for some of those numbers. That is accumulation of at least 4 numbers in the 26-27 current year capital exclusions, which includes our debt service, transfer to capital, some BOCES capital, and the building aid as a subtraction. At this point, we don't know what those numbers are. By March 1st, we will know those numbers. Okay. Here's some historical data showing you for the last 4 years the difference between the budget change from year to year and the tax cap change from year to year. And just to note that in 25-26, if we had removed the tax cap calculation, then that amount, the budget to budget, would have only been 2.58% increase. So I don't want you to think that it was such a huge increase from year to year. The next historical data we have is about the tax cap versus what the inflation factors had been over the years. And as you can see, we were sort of close last year, but in prior years, we had to make up the difference between that gap of that red line and the blue line. I'm going to have the next 3 slides will show you the enrollment for the elementary, middle, and the high school. And the best part of the numbers is the numbers, but the pictures are even better than that. We have a picture of our dog here in the elementary school. So those are the numbers for the last 3 years.
That's good.
And these are the numbers for the middle school.
And they're bursting.
And this is the number for the high school with accumulation on the bottom. Okay, and this is all going to be online. I don't expect you to memorize any of this. So the job of the district is basically to balance the budget. And it's looking at the revenues, looking at the expenses, and these are the main parts of each of those columns. And as you know, on the left-hand side, we have the allowable tax levy. We have to wait for the state aid number. We have miscellaneous local revenues in Putnam Valley. One of those revenues would be the Garrison students coming to our district. Then we have fund balance and we have reserves. On the opposite side of the expenses, we're always looking at the instructional programs, and we have to consider the administration and the supervision. We have to look at all the facilities and transportation costs and capital improvements. This is just a quick list of the development of the highlights that we have challenged in the near future. So we know that we will have 26 Garrison students next year, and that's a huge revenue that's coming into Putnam Valley. And we are in collective bargaining this year that will affect the 26-27 numbers. Inflation, the last time I looked it up, is 2.4%, and the tax cap is 2%. We are waiting for the state aid foundation formulas. We'll get the first glimpse of that usually around the 3rd week of January. And then the health insurance premiums, we already found out it's going to be going up 5%. And we already know the increase in the pension rates for the ERS and the TRS. And one last thing is we have an outdoor fitness court coming in next year. The district received a $60,000 grant, and we're very excited about this. Yes?
The pension rates, why is there such a difference between a teacher and the CSCA?
So the ERS has different levels. So that is the highest level right now because there's different tiers. And I always look at the highest level because I don't know how many are off the top of my head are in each level, but that is the highest level of increase, yes.
Okay.
And the TRS actually went down a little from last year.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the big difference there
Yeah.
between the two. Thank you.
But more of our staff are on the TRS level.
Yeah.
So I had just showed you another graph of the historical averages between the ERS, TRS, and the health insurance rate for the last 4 years, just so that you could see comparison. Again, this is online, so you don't have to memorize it. This is one of the pictures of the potential fitness court that we're excited about that would come in next year. And that's another picture of that. The next steps in the budget development, we'll have some more meetings. We already started having some meetings with our staff and the administration to talk about what they need for the next year. We're going to finalize some of that personnel staffing. We'll finalize that tax cap by March 1st. We'll resolve all the state aid issues, and then we'll finalize the budget by March 12th. And in the timeline, we have a lot of administrators coming to discuss their part of the budget, and this is the list of when they come.
Good.
That's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I thought was interesting was when you look at the enrollment across each of the cohorts, so not year over year, but cohort attrition, that we have, in the elementary school alone, a cohort gain of 26 students. So if you track 84 kindergartners last year, became 91 first graders this year. So 7 additional students moved in. 92 first graders became 100 second graders. I think it just speaks volumes to every single class with one exception from K to 12, we see some attrition. So students moving into the district after kindergarten, and I think it just speaks volumes to the quality of education that we have to offer, and the fact that that word is getting out, and we're hearing from more and more families that they moved to Putnam Valley because of the schools. And I think that the numbers we see here justify that belief that we're doing an excellent job, and young families are moving into our district for the sole purpose of attending our schools.
The Garrison enrollment speaks volumes in that direction, Dr. Love. The fact that our neighboring district sees us as an exceptional institution, sending their kids here, I mean, it's increasing every year, so that is another outstanding point to make.
I'm kind of surprised that health insurance is only a 5% increase.
You missed the meeting. They're originally asking for what, 14 or
Right.
something?
The reason is because they are moving into their reserve to take some of the money out because they did well and they invested well, and so they didn't have to take as much money. We take a vote on it in the consortium.
I think the actuarial projection was like 12 or 14%.
I would not have been surprised if you showed that number.
So they had to dip into their reserves to balance that.
Do we believe that that percentage will be this low only for this year then?
That's correct. Every year it's a different
varies.
story. Depends.
Right, but it will probably be much greater next year than it is now if they're leaning into their reserves because of the fact that they had them to depend on in the first place, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
But when we take a vote on it, the 14 districts, it's because they felt that the money was going to be very tight in all the other areas of the budget.
Right.
But if they end up using too much of it, it could be higher, much higher next year.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concern out there regarding what will be coming in terms of state aid.
Right.
So a lot of districts are fearful about losing federal funds and what that will mean for state aid here in the school. So there was definitely an appetite to utilize the reserves this year, get a sense as to what we're getting in state aid, even if it means having to make up for some of that use of reserves next year.
And how does it look for the state budget? Is that going to be close to on time? I know they always say it's going to be, but
If you could project that, you could probably get odds in Vegas on this. We haven't even seen a state aid roll yet, so I have no idea
It's a
what
big
will
election year,
happen in
too, for
Albany.
many of the state reps this year, so they may get it done quick, simply because they're running for office.
okay. Okay.
Thank you, Grace.